Good afternoon. You know me as Larry Klayman. I'm the founder of both Judicial Watch and now Freedom Watch. I'm a former federal prosecutor. In the last few weeks, we've been talking about the American intelligence community, which regrettably is run by two individuals who are highly dishonest and highly corrupt. One is John Brennan, the director of the CIA. The other is James Clapper, director of national intelligence. With regard to Clapper, he lied to Congress under oath when he was asked by a senator whether or not the intelligence agencies were surveying the telephonic metadata of millions of American citizens. Of course, we found out that it was, and that was a lie under oath for which he should have been prosecuted, as everybody else in this country. To tell a lie under oath will get you 10 years in prison. But of course, as part of the Washington establishment, particularly the intelligence community, which holds a sword of Damocles over the heads of even powerful people, they have the ability to get information, to smear people, and to do kinds of damage. If you challenge them, no one ever took him on. Now we see what's happened with another head of an intelligence agency, John Brennan, an individual who some feel may have converted to Islam years ago, who was Obama's choice to be CIA director, and who has now been trashing President-elect Trump in the media. Yesterday he gave an interview on Fox News Sunday where he chastised Trump for not being serious about Russia and other foreign policy challenges. Well, that's not his role as CIA director, to make political statements like that. His role is to do his job and to not to violate the law. And in fact, that's what John Brennan's been doing, because we know from a whistleblower by the name of Dennis Montgomery, and I've mentioned him before, who was an NSA CIA contractor, that the CIA has been harvesting confidential information about prominent Americans, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court John Roberts, other justices, about 156 judges, prominent businessmen, undoubtedly Trump himself, and yours truly, even back in 2007. They got information about me concerning banking information, that kind of thing. Now, Dennis Montgomery came forward to the FBI, and he produced 47 hard drives, over 600 million pages of material. I got him immunity to do that, to both produce the documentation and to testify. He gave an interview under oath. It's been videotaped. Regrettably, Mr. Montgomery has a brain aneurysm, and no one knows whether he's going to live that long or not. But the FBI has all of this material. And I've gone forward to congressional committees, including Bob Goodlatte, who's the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, and his staff, because to be gathering information, as Mr. Montgomery claims, and I haven't seen any of this information, it's been provided to the FBI. Some of it may be classified. I can't look at that. But they need to investigate this, because that's very dangerous, particularly with regard to judges, to have people subject to this kind of blackmail, potential blackmail. And I might add, one of the things that came out just this morning is that President-elect Trump has now put the finger on John Brennan as the possible and probable leaker of information smearing him with regard to this summary that was provided that came from these trash news organizations, including, and was published by CNN and others, that he was probably the one behind it. And that is very plausible that he was, particularly given the criminality of gathering all this information on prominent and other Americans. You know, you can't do that without probable cause under the Fourth Amendment of our Constitution. You have to either be in the act of committing a crime, or say you're going to commit a crime, and it's got to be plausible, or you have to be in contact with terrorists for the intelligence agencies to be able to do this. But we know that they violated the law. And in fact, I brought a lawsuit back a few years ago against the NSA and CIA, and a federal court judge, Richard Leon, enjoined the illegal obtaining of massive telephone information about American citizens. That gave rise to the USA Freedom Act. Congress then enacted that, so now the data stays in the hands of the phone company unless there's in effect a warrant to get that information. The Inspector General of the NSA itself found thousands of violations where American citizens were surveyed by the agency without this required probable cause under the Fourth Amendment. This isn't in dispute. So when you look at this dispute that's going on between President-elect Trump and the intelligence agencies, that doesn't mean that Mr. Trump is not serious about gathering intelligence. We all need intelligence. I agree that we need intelligence. We need a very good NSA and CIA that does its job legally. It's interesting that Judge Leon noted in those cases, and he gave the government an opportunity, the Obama Justice Department, to show that This massive surveillance that was ruled to be illegal under the Fourth Amendment didn't stop one terrorist attack. So what was it used for? To intimidate, to coerce, to spy on Americans generally? The judge found that almost Orwellian, like George Orwell's 1984. We can't live in a society like this. So I'm coming forward today reiterating some of the points that I've made in recent YouTubes, because now Trump has done the right thing. He laid the blame directly at the footsteps of the CIA and John Brennan, an individual who was appointed to the CIA by President Obama, who's done his bidding, has been his yes man, who now is a political hatchet man to try to delegitimize the Trump presidency before it even starts. We're coming up on inauguration on January 20th. And this is very dangerous because these intelligence agencies are more powerful than even the President of the United States. They hold the cards to destroying people potentially. And they haven't, according to Judge Leon, caught one terrorist with their activity. So why are they gathering all of this data? Whether you're conservative, whether you're liberal, whether you're moderate, you have to be very concerned, if not outraged, about this. And when you see the head of the CIA come forward to try to delegitimize the president-elect that people voted for before he even takes office, it tells you something about the lack of integrity and dishonesty and corruption of these agencies currently. Mr. Trump's going to have a big job in cleaning this up, because we do need very viable and competent and honest intelligence agencies to protect us. But we don't have that today. And the FBI is investigating this, and I've asked the congressional committees to look into it and to ask Director Comey what's happening, because it's now been almost a year and a half since Dennis Montgomery came forward as a whistleblower to exactly expose what it is they're doing. I might also add that we've seen in recent days attacks by Democrats. Now, we're nonpartisan. I've held Republicans accountable. I held George Bush accountable when he did warrantless wiretaps of American citizens. But these Democrats, particularly John Lewis of Georgia, they may have done some good things 50 or so years ago. That doesn't mean they get to do whatever they want right now. And he has also tried, along with fellow Democrats, to delegitimize the Trump presidency before it takes hold. And to say that he is illegitimate is completely inappropriate. These individuals, like Lewis, are not in the mold of Martin Luther King. Today is Martin Luther King Day, and we honor Martin Luther King. He was a great man. He believed in equal justice and freedom for all people, not just his people. But Lewis apparently thinks civil rights applies only to African Americans and not to everybody else. And they're unfairly tarring President-elect Trump with a charge that he's a racist. He's not a racist. In fact, more African Americans voted for him than even voted for Mitt Romney. And he's trying to raise the economic viability and prosperity of African Americans by stimulating the economy. We need to give the president-elect a chance. When there's criticism to be made, certainly we'll make it. But he hasn't even been president yet. And the Democrats like John Lewis are trying to destroy him and using his civil rights background cynically in and around Martin Luther King Day to do that. So this is my message today, is that we at Freedom Watch, and go to freedomwatchusa.org, freedomwatchusa.org, we need your support. We need your strong support. Because we need to hold these four evil forces of the left and these Obama hacks who are still out there trying to destroy this country, in my opinion. We need to hold them legally accountable, and we will do that at Freedom Watch. We're not going to shirk from our responsibility. We're not scared. We can't be blackmailed. We can't be coerced. Our founding fathers in 1776 signed the greatest document that was ever conceived of, the Declaration of Independence, in my native city of Philadelphia. And they pledged their sacred fortunes, they pledged their honor and their lives to form a new nation. We, the people, must stand up for our nation, and we cannot be afraid of intelligence agencies that are out to destroy anybody who comes in their wake. We look forward to the future. We look forward to assisting this country coming back to being made great again. We look forward to giving President-elect Trump a chance to do his job. Every indication is he will do an excellent job. He may not be perfect. There may be some bumps along the way. But we need to do whatever we can to keep these evil forces at bay. And this is Martin Luther King Day, and Martin Luther King certainly would have agreed with me. God bless you. God bless America. All the best to you and your family this new year.